Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. In the previous video, we learned about the role of the penetration tester. Today, we will learn the stages in the hacking process so we can build a systematic workflow. The amount of knowledge in the hacking field is so extensive, the forest is so big and tangled, and there are so many details that can create confusion. That is why it is important to bundle all these details into principles or into stages in the hacking process. And when we understand the different stages, any new detail we learn, we will know how to place in its proper spot within the big, complex forest. This will allow us to stay focused throughout our learning process, understand at any given moment where we are in the big picture, and it will also ensure we remember the material better. We can divide the actions the hacker performs into 10 stages. In the first stage, he collects information on the target from publicly available sources. This can be information found on the organization's website or pulling a list of employees in the organization from their LinkedIn profiles. LinkedIn, for those who are not familiar, is a social network like Facebook, except its content focuses on careers. Therefore, you can find there a list of the organization's employees, their email addresses, and so on. From this information, he can go on to look for employees who posted technical questions in various forums, such as how to upgrade a system from version A to B, which can reveal what software exists in the organization and in which version. We might discover that the organization's web server, meaning the system that exposes the organization's site to the public, is an old version with known vulnerabilities that can be used to break into the server. The more information we collect at the outset, the more tools and options we will have during the intrusion process. Information gathering can be passive or active. When we say passive information gathering, we mean it is done without direct interaction with the target. In contrast, active information gathering does require interaction with the target, but in a non-suspicious way, meaning anyone else could do the same without intent, such as visiting the organization's website or physically going to the organization and walking around its public areas. In the second stage, the level of activity toward the target increases. The goal at this stage is to discover systems and services present on our target through more aggressive scanning and to try to map weaknesses, in professional terms, vulnerabilities. At the end of the second stage, we will have a list of potential entry points for the intrusion. In the third stage, we want to exploit the vulnerabilities we identified and gain unauthorized access to the server. This could be by using publicly released exploit code that allows exploitation of a particular software vulnerability, or by exploiting logic in the software, such as lack of validation of user input on the organization's website. By the end of the third stage, we have finally obtained initial access to the server. This access is usually that of a regular system user whose permissions, meaning the actions they can perform on the server, are limited, which makes it very hard for us to advance in the intrusion process. For that, we need the fourth stage, called upgrading privileges, or in professional terms, privilege escalation. At this stage, we look on the server for misconfigurations or vulnerable software that will allow us to obtain a user with higher privileges, ideally the root user on a Linux server or the system user on a Windows server, which are the most powerful users in the system, and with them we will have full control over the server. Once we have obtained a powerful user, we will want to preserve our ability to access the server over time, meaning that instead of having to go through all the stages from scratch to connect to the server, we want to create a way to quickly get back to the point we have reached so far. This stage is the fifth one, called in professional terms, persistence. There are many ways and techniques to do this, and we will learn about them later. In parallel with the fifth stage of creating persistence on the server, in the sixth stage, we can use our powerful user to collect internal information from within the organization's network, unlike the information gathering we did at the beginning of the process outside the organization's network, where the amount of information we obtained was much more limited. When we collect information from within the organization's internal network, we can locate sensitive data, learn about the network topology, that is, identify subnets, which are the logical division into subnetworks, and identify other active servers on the network, allowing us to scan them as well and look for additional network services we did not have access to at the outset. This information lets us map new potential entry points in the organization's network. From here, we can move on to the next stage, the seventh stage, called lateral movement. At this stage, we expand our attack surface to additional machines on the organization's internal network. This will allow us to obtain additional sensitive information, perform various security bypasses, and reach additional sensitive resources in the organization. When we manage to compromise another server, we go back to the previous stages, meaning we raise the privilege level on the new server, collect more internal information, and perform lateral movement again, and so on, as far as we want to expand. In the 8th stage, after we already have strong privileges on the servers, the actions we take depend on the attack goals. Black hat hackers may steal sensitive information, encrypt the server, and demand ransom, or just cause damage to the organization. But in the role of penetration tester, we want to show the organization the potential damage that could be caused, such as the ability to steal highly sensitive data that would have far-reaching consequences in the organization and create significant financial damage. In the 9th stage, after the hacker has achieved their goals, they will want to hide evidence of their actions. For example, they will delete log files that record activities on the server. Another example could be deleting scripts or malware they uploaded to the servers. In the 10th and final stage, the penetration tester produces for the organization a detailed report of all the findings, including the list of vulnerabilities, their risk level to the organization, and recommendations on how to address them. Now that we have finished mapping the hacker's workflow stages, it will be much simpler for us to learn the details and understand where they belong in the broader overall picture. Since there are so many details, we can see a recurring phenomenon among students learning the hacking field. Say they are given a hacking challenge as part of the learning process, and for a moment they lose it. Wait, what should I do? Where am I supposed to start? There are so many things we learned, so what do I do now? What is relevant right now? What can I set aside because it will only be relevant later? In short, they get lost. For that, I decided to dedicate an additional lesson in the Introduction to the Penetration Testing course, whose purpose is to teach you how to manage the information you are learning, so that when you encounter a hacking challenge in the course of your studies, you can, like experts, pull out your exact toolbox for that specific stage in the task. Therefore, it is important, I would even say critical, that you be very meticulous in documenting the lessons we cover. How to document properly. We will learn that in the next lesson. So you do not miss the next tutorials, subscribe to the channel right now and click the bell. Subscribing to the channel is completely free and you can cancel it whenever you want. If the video helped you, I would appreciate it if you could repay me with 2 small things that will help me grow the channel. A, give the video a like. B, write a comment below, whether it is a question, a request, or just to give me feedback if the video helped you. Thank you very much, friends. See you in the next video.